All right, well, welcome to the first rendition of This is Chalk Talk for Life. I'm Coach Marsh. I have the moniker of Coach for Life, and I've got my friend Nick Lebeau with me. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something a little bit different. I think that special teams is something that is definitely special. So this is not a football special. This is something that we are going to be doing on a weekly basis. We're going to have some one-offs. We're going to review some stuff, preview some things. But we're hoping to be the kind of the first thing for the 12s on Sundays as well as in the middle of the week. Where after the games, we'll talk about some stuff. Not so much this week. We're not going to hit too heavy on today's big win, but we will on future weeks because today we got some other things going on. So with that, Nick Lebeau, how are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. Awesome to be finally launching this awesome show about one of the more underrated aspects of the game, which is special teams.
Yeah, not only is it underrated, I think it's sometimes it's just not even rated at all, right?
Exactly.
I mean, sometimes, they always say the only time you ever really talk about it is when things go bad. And I think, what we're here to do is talk about a lot of the great things that have happened, but also look at, what is it that maybe we can do. So I just get something to say here. What are some of the things that we can do in the 2021 season? I was a big, huge fan of special teams. As a longtime coach, I know that you've been a big fan, and we met through Norb's channel. So I guess one of the questions, people are probably going to say is, why us? Why would dudes like us have any credibility? So Nick, I want you to say a little bit about why you like special teams, a little bit about yourself. But let me start off by saying, when I first met Nick Lebeau, I thought he was easily in his 20s because I only heard him on audio when he was calling on the NordCam show. Heard him a few times, and then I was looking to have some young people come onto a roundtable of mine. And man, when I talked to you, you were so incredibly impressive. And I taught for so many years that I think I have a pretty good sense of when someone's got maturity and get after itness and things like that. But why don't you speak to a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Nick Lebeau. I own my channel, Seattle Sports Talk. I had a video drop yesterday on my 3 keys to a Seattle Seahawks win against the Colts, and we got the win, which was awesome. I've been doing YouTube for feels like a while now, so I'm excited to be launching this. And as for your question on why I like special teams and just fell in love with it, because I've been fortunate in a lot of my life to not only see the ups of special teams, and when I say the ups, I mean like fake field goals that go well. Obviously, we think of the 2015 Nfc Championship, game-winning kicks. But I've also had to see the bad, the entire 2017 and a lot of 2018 season where we didn't have a consistent kicker and we were losing a lot of games because of that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so, I think what's really cool is, even right there where you just talked about the 2017 season, as you and I talked about in some production meetings, we're going to have some really neat just special team specials about certain seasons, certain games, some epic moments that could be good, could be bad. And I think one thing that's important is that while we are definitely 12s, as you can see by both of our backgrounds, our focus is also going to be on the NFC West. It's going to be on NFL globally. And I say that globally because we do play globally. But then sometimes we might jump into the college ranks and the high school ranks as well. I know for me, man, like special teams early in my career, even in high school, I was the holder for all 3 years. At our high school, there was a 10 through 12 school. So I loved it then. I was a punt returner, did some other things there. But really, my excitement really took off when I started coaching. And I started to see the nuances of it and realizing that, man, like you really have to look at special teams from an offensive defensive standpoint, right? Like kickoff return, punt return. There's schemes there. Those are offensive schemes.
Oh, yeah.
Punt, kickoff, those are defensive schemes. And then when you become a head coach, then you have to dictate, hey, do you believe in special teams being kind of a trickery thing, things you want to do, which I did. And then you get some coaches that are like, hey, we're just going to run the ball and we're just going to do the basics and not do trickery and bring it out every once in a while. And so one of the pieces I'd share is that in a game we were playing once, and I won't share too many stories, but I do think it's fun and it does lend us some credibility. We were playing for a division title, and the other team was missing one of their starters on the kickoff return.
Oh,
and
wow.
we always introduced our starting lineup was not introduced the offense or the defense. We always introduced the starting kickoff team or the starting kickoff return team. So our kids worked hard, man. They wanted to be on special teams because they knew that they were going to get a chance to hear their names under the Friday Night Lights, right? The first team announced, like the starters are kickoff return. Well, their front line guy, who we would call the R5, there was a backup. So we onside kick it to open the game. We get it, we score. They don't change the guy. They don't move him. So we do it again. Score, we're at 14-0. They change him, but they only move him over one spot. They move him into what we would call the L5 position. So we onside kick right at him again. I felt bad for the young man. I even told him after the game, like, hey, wasn't anything personal towards you. This is a big game for us. Nick, it was 21-0 before their offense saw the field. Like, game over. Game over.
Yeah,
right
I mean, it can totally change not only a game, but a season. And it's such a mind game, too.
Yeah,
There's so much
absolutely.
strategy that goes into planning who's going to play your R5 or your L5, kickers. Yeah,
without a doubt. And I think we saw, and we'll show something here in a minute, but just the other night, right? I mean, here, the very first game of the season, everybody's Dallas, Tampa Bay, the GOAT, Dak Prescott coming back. You got Zeke, you got all these different dudes. And what's one of the biggest blow-ups of the game early on, Nick LeBeau?
special teams.
Special teams. A field goal that, man, like, was there
not only
another hurricane come through there? Oh, man. And, and that was the difference in the game, right? That was the difference in the game. So that's what Nick and I are going to do. Nick is very much, he's analytical. I like to say he's analytical, but with attitude and with instinct, meaning that he likes to look at numbers. He's great with stats. But I would the thing I told him the other day was, it's kind of like that Green Bay game last year with Tampa Bay. An analytics guy would just look at the analytics and say, hey, it's 4th down, kick the field goal with time left. We have a chance to get the ball. Like, that's what the analytics say. Someone who's into analytics but also has instinct would say, yeah, but I've got the MVP on my side. They've got the GOAT on their side. Maybe we should take a chance. We're going for it. Yeah, not even going to think about it. So that's what you remind me of, man. I think you're somebody who has that way stronger analytics than I have. I mean, gosh dang it. I mean, I would love to have had you on my staff just from that standpoint. But the reason why I'm wanting to do this with you is the fact that I think you are the instinctual guy as well, and that you're putting awesome things. And trust me, I'm going to share stories as well about where special teams hurt me early in our career. Later in my career, I tried to always make sure that my strongest hire was always my special teams coach. Like, he had to be spot on. And I was very lucky to have a guy by the name of Adam Keetzer. He actually played in the Rose Bowl. He was with Ryan Leaf, regardless of what people think about Ryan Leaf. But he was the starting tight end there. He played on all the special teams there and everything else. And so it was great to have him as my special teams coach during arguably my best 5-year run. And he ended up staying when I left and retired. He ended up continuing to coach, but the special teams he ran were just like this. This was one of his kickoff returns. I mean, it was a schemed kickoff return that we'll show later. So with that, I think we can jump right into something that before we show the first video that I want to show, because part of this will be a little retrospective look at the Seattle Seahawks, right, as we start these shows in a fun way. So we're having a little bit longer opening than we usually would. Usually we're going to jump right into the nuts and bolts of the Seahawks game, what was the Seahawks game coming up, NFC stuff, big special team stuff. We're not here to talk about Russell Wilson. We're not here to talk about Jamal Adams. I'm sure other people are going to have that. Again, like I said, we want to be the first group that people who maybe didn't get enough of Seahawks football on Sunday afternoon, they want to get a little bit more on Sunday evening, and then we'll certainly take some stuff out there, right? So, I see Eric. Look at this. Happy to know that Coach Marsh is not dead. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate that, man. No, I'm here. It's just been a couple months where I needed to take a little break to get some things set up.
We all need our off season.
It's the off season. So, like I told the guys that were on the round table, right? This is the franchise, and we needed to kind of just regroup, do some draft picks. Didn't make any trades. We kept everybody on the team, but just added some people and just wanted to reevaluate, do some things. So that said, let's talk about the ceiling and the floor for the Seahawks. And the reason, what I mean there, Nick, we've talked about this is, what do you think the Seahawks ceiling is for their record, and what do you think their floor is? Now, having just said what I just said about this is not talking about globally the Seahawks. What I mean for anybody who's watching is there's an old moniker in football that from high school to youth football. I was at a youth football game last night and talking about it with the coach that was there, great young guy that's coaching. But at college, NFL, there are going to be 3 games in your season. No matter where you're playing football, what level, 3 games are going to dictate whether you win or lose based on special teams, right? Today, Pete Carroll, right out of his mouth in the first minute of his press conference. Special teams sure got the job done today. I mean, right out of the chute. Right out of the chutes. It's what he says. Right?
Yeah.
Because just solid. So if there's going to be 3 or 4, 3 to 4, but let's just call it 3 games that could change the tide of things in the NFC West, it could be so tough. That ceiling and floor, the difference between the number 1 seed and winning the division and and the floor, which could just be a couple of game difference, that could be not even the 6th seed. It could be, hey, we're talking about the draft in week 18. Now, neither you nor I think that. We both think you're going to the Super Bowl, so this isn't a prediction show like that. But Nick, tell me, what's your ceiling and what's your floor? You can give me a little rationale behind that before we start jumping into the special teams.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, our schedule is kind of like none other the Seahawks have seen. I personally think that every single game we play is going to be competitive, and there's where the special teams comes into play. Seahawks always make the game entertaining. It's always usually a close game, which is so important for special teams. As for my ceiling, I have our ceiling being somewhere in that 14-3 category. They did add an extra game. So, yeah, as for floor, I have it in that 9-8 category. Our schedule is really hit or miss. I mean, we could go like 9-1, or we could go 1-9. Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And so I would say, I have the 13-4 to 11-6 kind of range. So I just have a 2-game ceiling and floor. But again, so if 3 games are going to dictate, today's really didn't. Yes, Coach Carroll came out and said, special teams, but it kind of felt like today was one of those like, we're going to win. Like there's those games where you just kind of feel like, yeah, we've got this thing. We're just going to take hold of it. But there's going to be some games. People, it's funny. I love watching the prediction specials when people are, they're 8-0, 9-0, 12-0, 15-0, and then they're kind of going through the season 17-0, and people forget, like, remember that New York Giants game? Like everybody has that. So I know he's gone undefeated since the Miami Dolphins in '72, right?
Oh yeah.
And even in that, the Super Bowl there, he had a very famous field goal attempt that field goal tried to be thrown, and it was your Premium threw it backwards. So. Before we get back to that, I want to hit on something here that to me is super, super important. And it's what I refer to as the prehistoric era, right? The prehistoric era of Seattle Seahawks football would be, to me, 1976 to 1999. And then, we kind of, as we're slowly getting into that 2000, later in 2000, there's the Holmgren era. And I know there's some coaches that were in there in that late 90s, early 2000s. But just for the sake of this show, we're going to talk prehistoric, we're going to talk Holmgren era, and then the Pete Carroll era, and then there'll be times where we'll mix in some of the other people. So on every show, I'm going to play a video or attempt to play a video that will be from the prehistoric era. So, Nick, just so you know, and people that are your age know, there was actually Seattle Seahawks football before 2000. And that's part of why I'm doing this, man, to let people know. But I know that there'll be people that as they catch on that I'm doing the show or stuff, they'll start to see it and go, man, I want to see a play from back then, or maybe they'll send in some plays. So here's the deal. This is the first game I ever watched with my parents, my mom, and my stepdad, who just come into our life. And so we're hanging out, watching the Monday Night Football game. It was Seattle versus Atlanta. The running back at the time was Sherman Smith, who, as many know who follow me, Sherman Smith ended up later becoming my junior high teacher. He was the first person I met when I moved to Redmond, Washington. Then he became my high school coach as my offensive coordinator. And then he became just a lifelong mentor. So he's playing the game. Jim Zorn's playing that game. And I wore number 10 because he wore number 10. But I had no idea when I'm watching this game that there was going to be these fun connections to the point that I get to meet Nick Lebeau, right? Like if I'm not watching this Monday Night Football game, I probably don't get amped for football. I was 7, 8 years old into soccer. And all of a sudden it's like, football. And remember, no social media. Sundays weren't really spent. It was out playing with your buddies. And then this thing called Monday Night Football and Howard Cosell and da-da-da. So let me see if I can pull it up here and do a little share. Now, keep in mind, Nick, 1979. So while we live in the HD world, we are not everything is going to be pure HD. So let's see if we can pull this here. All right. So here's what we got. 1979, Atlanta, Monday Night Football. Efren Herrera, I'll just let the play run. Nick, have you seen this play before?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, because I haven't pulled it. I haven't brought it up on Coach's Corner when I did the Coach's Corner North Camp, but these to me are going to be so much fun. Because what's cool about this, man, is the prehistoric era was the time when lots of fakes. Jack Patera was the head coach, and Rusty Tillman became our special teams coordinator for quite a long time. And Rusty Tillman was known as the man because of all the different fakes. And I'm not going to necessarily get the audio on this one, but I'll play it again in a few weeks because Howard Cosell just goes nuts on this is the way football's meant to be, and these Seahawks are fun to watch. And I think it's going to make current Seahawks fans go, oh, man, maybe these are things we should do. So, all right, Nick, watch the play as a true fan. All right. And I'll kind of talk through it for you. It was a close game at the time. We just got stopped. It was third down. We were down 7-0. There it is. Zorn steps up, and there's the kicker right down the middle of the field.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
He got right up after that hit.
Well, yes. So now here's what's fun for me. Watching your reaction. Like, they do these reaction videos?
Yep.
It was fun for me while I was playing to just watch your reaction. Like, man, and you nailed it, right? This is what I love about you. So I'll watch it again. I want you to pick up a couple things that you see on this. All right? Go for it. Second time through. And you picked up
great
right.
Blocking.
Yeah, great blocking. And like you said, little effort
right up.
And that to me is one of my favorite parts.
Too.
Say that again?
Yeah.
What did you say? On the last part?
You can see not all the guys are even on the line of scrimmage like they usually are. You got guys kind of back out.
Yeah. Well, here's the beauty of it as we watch it. And this show isn't about breaking down film. We might take some time to do that down the road. But it's just more showing it. But what I love about this fake field goal is, like you said, there's some great interior blocking to start with, but they obviously saw, like, this is why you scout. Sometimes I wonder, like, if it's a third of the game, if we're spending time, and I get the NFL defenses now are fast and blah, 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 but everything still has a weakness, right? Well, they obviously saw during scouting that the center of the field became wide open because look at how the DBs play this umbrella on the outside and the lineman here, and then as soon as the play gets ready to go, look at where all the linemen go.
Yeah.
They block for a minute, and then they go to the right, go to the left, and look at Efren Herrera, the kicker. He runs just like he's getting ready to kick it, and he was a soccer player too.
Right up.
And then Jimmy Zorn. And right there with Jimmy Zorn was why I love playing lefty quarterback. So he got me into it. And Coach Smith, Sherman Smith, always used to joke like, well, when I told him I wanted to play quarterback, well, we don't have any left-handed footballs. I bought it at first, like, what? And then that became a joke I would tell players down the road. So anyway, that's Efren Herrera, the prehistoric era of Seahawks football, one of my favorite times because it made it fun, right? Now, a guy like you is going to go look at the records and go, yeah, there's a reason why they needed to run all those fakes. But in 79, when they were just starting to get going, man, it was a reason to get excited for the Seahawks. And we became known all around the country because the Kingdom was getting loud. It was They weren't calling them the 12s yet, but we were getting known. We were becoming known as kind of this pre-birth of the 12s. And then you had this football team that was just like fun to watch. Really fun to watch. All right. So I'm going to take us right into a little intro here. Give us a little quick break. And then we'll be, let me make sure I got it. Yeah, we got it right here. And then we'll be back in 30 seconds. Now, because I'm doing a stream a little bit different with my audio for those who are watching, you may turn down your volume just a little bit because the volume for some people boomed in the last time I did this. So I'm working to adjust the audio. So turn your volume down just a little bit, 30-second intro, and then we'll be back and you can turn your volume back up. All right, so that's it. 6 o'clock. Thanks, buddy. It's been fun to put together. Definitely fun to put together. So we have some other things we want to talk about. We're going to try to finish pretty soon. We know Sunday Night Football is coming on, but we figure this is a good way to carry it. So even though it says 6 o'clock on the end of that open, the times will vary from, obviously if we're at 10 a.m. games, we'll be able to do it a little bit early. And I'll be doing a second show. I'm not going to do it tonight. But especially on weeks where we play at 10 a.m., we're going to have our show, and then I'm going to also do a little show where I'm going to break down it, and I will illustrate the handful of plays that I thought were the difference-making plays in the Seahawks game. So before Sunday even ends, you'll get some, you being people watching, you'll get more Nick LeBeau, you'll get more Seahawks talk. We're going to grow this thing and kind of get everybody amped up to start the week on some fun things. So, all right. So let's talk about this coming up season before we get into some other stuff. We're going to, on the next show, we'll talk about, well, actually, I'm going to hit it right now. We talked about the Dallas-Tampa Bay game.
Yes.
For those who didn't watch, let me just share this real quick with you. So, and keep in mind, this is live, so anybody watching this when it's recorded, we're doing it live, so that's why it takes a second to get the shared screens up. There's a couple different format pieces that I'll be doing to smooth this out a little bit, but for now, this is how we're going to go with it. So now, here's the other night. Nick LeBeau, talk us through it. This is the first field goal.
All right, this is the first field goal. Greg Zuerlein, I believe it is end of half. Oh, no, not end of half. It's earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so roll the tape.
Roll the tape. And this is the first game, I'll remind you, first game of the 2021 season. And what was great was that Nick and I had planned to do a show the night of this. And then we said, you know what? It's Thursday Night Football. Let's delay it to Saturday. And then right away, you and I are both connecting to each other. It's perfect, special teams. And then the whole game, we're both like, if this game just stays close, man, it'll be perfect for us to be able to talk about it. And sure enough, games decided within a couple points. All right, so let's see what happens on the I think this is the first field goal of the entire season, right? All right, here we go.
Yep. All right, so the snap's good. No, it doesn't look like any hands touch the ball. It's just wide left.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking,
it wasn't even close. We're talking far wide left.
Yeah, like pretty sure.
And I don't think there was much wind. No, the flags on the goalposts, they weren't blowing. There's no wind. This is a total gaff by the kicker.
Yeah, and you know what you don't ever want?
The game.
And I think people are probably putting their hands like it's good, but like, see this guy? I don't know if you can see this guy right here. You don't want the people like 15, 20 yards. I mean, this is definitely deeper than it looks because they're way up there. You don't want these guys preparing to catch the field goal.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You want these guys, or maybe if it's missed over here, you don't want this dude in the white shirt getting all excited, tell his buddies the next day, I caught the field goal. Well, wait, I thought your seats were like way off to the side. Well, they are, but he missed it by 20 yards. So, yeah, not good.
Yeah.
But then come right after that, they end up scoring. Do you know Chris Berman's famous term for that? The doink.
Doink.
The doink. So here, man, Tuck, you spent all off season doing nothing but this. Boom, boom. And again, man, not easy at all, right? I mean, definitely not an easy thing to do. No. But holy cow. I mean, it's first game of the season, and they end up losing, right? In a close game, and he missed a field goal. He missed an extra point.
Missed another field goal. That's 7 points. He cost him a touchdown.
Yeah, and you know what you don't want to go see after that is I wouldn't worry about seeing McCarthy. It's Grandpa Jerry Jones you don't want to see, right?
Yeah, especially a guy like Jerry Jones. And he'll cut you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm glad you said. I'm glad you finished it with a football term because I thought you were going to say like he would cut you. Period. he'd take care of you and send you out of Texas. There's an old joke back when I was coaching when Friday Night Lights, the TV series, came out. I would joke with people all the time. It wasn't even a joke. I would tell them, hey, if you go coach in Texas, that there's times where high school head coaches come home after a loss and there's a for sale sign in their yard, but they have not put their house up for sale, right? But it was true. And then Friday Night Lights came out and people realized, it really does happen. Well, yeah, the same thing here. Like, man, a guy like Jerry Jones will run you out of town. Now, he's a grandpa. I'm a grandpa, too. I just try to stay the hipless grandpa in America. I'm probably going to give the guy one more shot. But, man, if you ever go out to Seahawks practice, you see those guys off to the side, and they're kicking field goals. I mean, that's all they do all day. So you expect your kicker to come through. And you nailed it, Nick, right? Perfect, pretty good weather conditions. I mean, it's not sideways rain or anything like that. So, All right. So let's move into the Mike Holmgren era, and then we're gonna get up to the Seattle Seahawks. We talked a little Prehistoric Hawk. Each week for the next few weeks, we'll talk Prehistoric Hawk, and then we'll talk a little Mike Holmgren era. Little Tony Romo action. Nick, what do you got? Talk to us about that playoff game.
Quite the game.
Quite in 2000. I'm talking the 2007 famous field goal. Okay, let me pull it up on the. Let me get the new share. I think we're good to go there. All right. So, Nick, 2007. Let's see here. What were you, about 20 years old? Before I met you, I thought you were 20 years old at the time, right? When were you watching? When were you starting to watch football? When did NFL or Seahawks football really grab you?
Probably around 2011 or 12, that kind of era.
That era?
Right when Pete Carroll was starting.
Oh, so when like 80% of Seattle thinks that football began when Pete Carroll arrived? Kind of that time period, like people forget, like, hey, we actually went to the Super Bowl. Which, by the way, there's going to be some awesome when we do the special on not only 2017 for people, but the special on the Super Bowl that we went to and how special teams played a part. Yes, we're going to blame the officials and all that other stuff, but there were some definite special teams opportunities that, as you said, had we done stuff or not done stuff, can really dictate things, right? And so sometimes I think people get caught up in special teams thinking, we should have gone for the fake, or we should have. And oftentimes you look at things and go, man, maybe we shouldn't have. Like maybe the analytics or what have you say, hey, punt it early, pin them down. Don't risk giving them the ball at the 47 because of a missed field goal or giving them momentum stuff. But here's Tony Romo, 2007. Now, here's a story for me. I was down in Las Vegas for this game. Just to share, now, I wasn't a heavy gambler or anything like that, but just it happened to be our season was over. And so at the end of the year, I'd always take off and, just go somewhere fun. And so I'd gone down there just for 48 hours because you can sit down and you can see all the games at the same time, that was the main reason I did it, right? It wasn't go bet a ton of money. Let's just go down and have fun and be able to see all the games. Because again, no YouTube, direct TV, all those type of things. Mm-hmm. So I watched all the games, and then the Monday Night Football game, I'm catching a flight. This was Sunday night, Monday. I'm catching a flight to head back to Seattle, but this game is going on and on. So I'm like moving towards the edge of Caesar's Palace, towards the edge. I'm watching TV, and we're coming to the end, and I'm not to get into point spreads and all that other crazy stuff, but I needed this to be a miss so that I could win my $10 or whatever, right? But it wasn't even me. It was the place is packed, and it's all Dallas Cowboys fans, right?
Oh,
I mean, it's packed. So this story is not about my little token bet. The story is the fact that you've got thousands of people in this big, huge place.
Their reaction first.
Oh man, if I could have had a video camera or a cell phone to be recording that.
And those are hardcore fans.
Oh man, hardcore fans. So, and then this happens, right? Here we go. Right there, and he bobbles the snap.
And what a tackle. Talk about a tackle.
Oh, Nick Lebeau. That's why you're on the show. Talk to me about Romo and where he shouldn't go and what just happened at the end of that play. You just nailed it. Most people do not mention the part at the end.
The tackle. I mean, if you look at it, he has a clear view right into the end zone. 27, who's a defensive back, he turns on the Jets. He runs right up, grabs his calf or ankle, and just pulls him down like a half a yard short of the first down marker in Seahawks football.
Yeah, and just absolutely
Steals the game.
Get the full screen.
Look at that.
And here's what's crazy about it. So when we do breakdowns of things like special teams and stuff, so anybody watching, this is your first real, true, hardcore, a little bit of a breakdown. I think I'm gonna try to really teach people how to watch the game from a special teams lens, because special teams are so crucial. Just like when I do the breakdown that I've already completed it, can't wait to put it up. I've done an extensive breakdown on the Marsh Lynch beast mode run in a way that nobody has ever covered it. And I'm not going to give it away, but it's going to be kind of similar to what I'm about to talk about here. Watch. Okay, here, I think it's Babineau. Okay,
Yep.
It was Babineau. So Babineau's coming off the edge. First off, he doesn't come hard. We've set up the rush because when you're rushing a field goal kicker who's kicking on a hash, you're going to load your rush to the field goal team's left or the Seahawks our right side and come and bull rush it over here. Well, you don't want this guy to dive and this guy to come around and dive, which, by the way, Nick, if you ever become a coach, my number one pet peeve, and it is a clear number one, for youth and high school coaches are coaches that have both ends come around as fast as they can and dive for the football.
Right.
I cannot tell you. Oh my gosh, Nick Lebeau. If you become a doctor someday, which you probably will, go to some games and just watch and just be like, oh man, I gotta take care of these guys. Okay, so we've done exactly the right thing. We've overloaded it to the right side, which you can tell, right? I mean, Dallas could run a lead right here between these two guys. They could just run it up in there. All right, so 27. See how he just kind of lollygags, because he's a contained guy,
right?
But now, had he come harder off that edge, chances are, look at his feet, how close they are getting tripped up. He would have tripped,
and it would have been a Dallas touchdown.
Bingo, absolutely. So sometimes we don't see the things that take place that kind of become that like mystical, magical, when people are like, we're the team of destiny. Like there's so many little things in a game. That's what I love about football. And you can say that about every sport.
Yeah.
But nobody immediately after the game, because you have to be a tight breakdown person. But this is why I loved having special teams meetings with our staff and our players, because we would look at these things and go, hey, this is why we designed it this way.
Right.
But what's great, and you nailed it, he's stayed square, which we always teach. You've heard me say it before. You should stay square to the line of scrimmage if you're not blocked. So his body is still squared. We can see both his numbers, which allows him to then catapult himself right after. So this is the last part of the watch over here. See, settles, boom, explosion. But as you said, if he'd have gone early, he'd have got tripped up. And Romo scores and becomes the hero, and instead we win the game on a great play earlier by Lofa Tatupu that also stopped it. Which, by the way, Lofa Tatupu leads a commercial that today just aired with Norm in it. Yeah, so those who watch Norm, you get to see his minute-long, very cool video. Norm's doing his thing, so very good stuff. All right, so that's what we're going to cover. That's the Holmgren era one, right? So prehistoric era, Holmgren era, pretty cool thing that took place there. So now let's move ahead a little bit to let me see what we got going here. I'm going to take us to, let's go to the 2016 game. And we're moving ahead on a couple things, just for the sake of time. So, or 2014, I'm sorry, 2014 season. We play in the 2015 NFC Championship game against Green Bay. Nick, bring us up to speed and just remind everybody, even though people know that we won the game, and people remember the big touchdown pass at the end. But what happened early on? Maybe how did we get our first score? What were some things that took place?
It was pretty ugly. We were down big, and this is really the play that kind of gave us the momentum to make that great comeback and eventually go to Super Bowl 49. But yeah, Russell Wilson was having not a good game. The Packers defense was on fire. Well, actually, the Packers were on fire in every aspect.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
Seahawks were losing big, and then this play happened.
Yeah, and this is the play. So let's just watch it, as I like to do. And Nick, sometimes you might have to remind me to watch the play first, because I'll start breaking it down. Like, Coach, let us just see the dang play. All right, so here it was, man. Nick, you nailed it, right? We're playing, they're beating us bad, and then love the call. Like this is one of those that I'll guarantee you, at the time, because I was in a room of about 10 people, myself, my wife, a group of us sitting there, nobody expected it, right?
Oh yeah, when you're down that big, it's kind of the last thing you do, because you need points on the board.
Yeah, you're down 16-0.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You're down 16-0 again. You said it. Like, just get some points on the board, because you're not that far. If you get 3 points, your 2 touchdowns, you're right back in. I mean, you're 2 touchdowns at 16, but you feel a little bit better that 2 touchdowns now probably give you the lead versus 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions. But here, we get the great play that takes place. And here's what I love about it. And this is another thing in terms of watching for people that are going to watch Seahawks football or watch special teams. Another old adage is you want to run the play that the other team doesn't think you're going to do. So obviously run when they think you're going to pass when they think you're going to run. But on special teams, you don't want to fake it when everybody's yelling fake it. So if you as a fan are like, they should fake it, then guess what? Probably a good chance they're not, because you're thinking what the other team's thinking. The other team's getting ready for it. We call it the funnies. So our defense, if our punt returners out there and we thought they were going to run a fake, you hear our captains, watch for the funnies. Here, I'm not thinking it. You're not thinking it. Nobody's thinking it.
No.
But Pete Carroll is special teams coach. Like, they're realizing, man, there's a flow in this game. Green Bay's kicking our butt. They know we just need to get 3 points.
For sure.
Now, remember the last play that I talked about where Here it's on the left hash. So really this side would be your normal side to rush. This would be your stay at home guy, the left to our left corner. So one of those things that this doesn't happen if he would have settled. But look what he did. He came around the corner. Remember I talked about Babineau needed to settle his feet? And Babineau settled his feet and he stayed square. Watch what this guy does to our left, right? To our left. He comes around, he turns his shoulders, and that allows him just enough to get by him.
Yeah.
But man, and then we throw it to a guy with a 7 as a first number, right? We throw it to Big Gilliam, and he gets the touchdown, and man, we're on our way. And I'm not going to show it now, and I won't show it on tonight's show. We'll show it later. But another huge special teams play in that game that, again, very few people talk about, right? We get the field goal. Mm-hmm. Then we get a Lynch. We get a Russell Wilson touchdown. He throws a big 2-point conversion play. So that's quasi, not really special teams because we went for 2, but it's a decision, right? You have to make a special teams decision there. Then Marshawn gets the nice run, and now we need the ball back one more time, and everybody knows what we're going to do, and we pull it off. So we'll on another show we'll show that one because there's definitely a big gaffe that people talked about that Green Bay did. Right. All right, so moving along. We want to hit 2020 and 2021 here real quick. Let me get this last little piece out of the way on that. So with regards to our 2020 season, Nick, what can you tell us about our punter, our kicker, anything else? Anything special, anything not so special that we should be hyped up about, either looking back at 2020 and looking ahead at 2021?
Yeah, so I mean, the 2020 season, which was last season, was special teams wise, looking at punter and kicker. I think the year we had the most consistency since kind of those Super Bowl years, which I consider 2012 to 2015. Michael Dixon was on fire. Great punter. Jason Myers didn't miss a single field goal that entire season. And looking forward to this season, Pete Carroll said the special teams played really well. Michael Dixon was punting incredibly. He was pinning them deep. He had like the golfer's touch, where it goes up and then it just kind of drops right down. Jason Myers looked good kicking. So I think we're going to see a lot more of the same from our special teams as we did last season.
Yeah, that's a great phrase that you use, that golfer's touch, no doubt about it. And I think what I love about what we have going from last year, obviously the fact that we return those guys, but rare is the time that you say special teams becomes part of the personality of your team, right? And usually it's a player. We definitely have players. We know that Russ is part of the personality. We know that Jamal Adams is part of the personality. We've had others in the past of the personality. But man, like how many times last year did we see Dixon go down and just crush people on a special teams play, right? When you see your kicker or your punter making solid plays and tackling dudes, like that gets people excited. Gets them amped up to do certain things. So it's very, very cool. I'm very, very excited about the guys that we have left. So we're gonna start wrapping up here because I know that the Sunday Night Football has begun. But we're also going to have people that will see the recording of this, and we'll edit these down. But this was kind of our initial get things out of the gate, and there's plenty of things that we didn't get to tonight that we're going to get to on future ones. However, I do want to kind of finish with this because we will talk about that ceiling and floor more. We're going to talk more about definitely some schemes maybe we'll run, things we should do, review the games, preview the games. But 2021 brings a new rule that most people probably are not aware of. There were 6 new rules in the NFL. And Nick, what percentage of people, if I was to ask the 12s, which people around the country say the 12s are very knowledgeable, and I would agree, right? Boston sports fans, New York sports fans, Chicago sports fans, the 12s, Seattle sports fans, definitely consider like top 5 knowledgeable groups out there. How many of them do you think would know more than one or just one of the 6 new rules? The number rule. How many do you think know the number rule, the New Jersey number rule? What percentage?
I think 100% no.
Okay, I would agree. If you're a true 12 and you follow football, there's a new number rule.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Tom Brady has a great video piece talking about how that affects some stuff. Now, how many do you think, what percentage know just any of the other rules, any of the other 5 rules that are out there?
Oh, it is very, very slim.
Yeah, quite slim.
I'll admit,
And,
I don't even know all 6 rules.
Yeah, most people don't, and they don't really care. And even for myself.
Yeah,
But,
because a lot of the rules don't necessarily affect the game directly. You know,
exactly.
other outside rules, maybe it's a salary cap thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, along those lines.
Yeah, which I know you're going to bring to the table at times. Some of those cool nuances that'll impact us. And even for myself, when I go to high school, rules meetings and stuff like that, I was like, oh man, like this, are we really talking about that as a rule? Like it's just one every 10-year time is going to happen. But you got to have rules, or change rules. But there is one rule that I would say that, I don't know, 0.1% of the people know about with regards to the kicking rule, the new kickoff rule, and that is this. And on the next show, I will bring up the drawing for it because I think it is a very important rule that, again, people talk about offensive and defensive stuff, know your special teams rules. So we all know the kickoff a few years back, it went from, they used to be able to run 10 yards in terms of the kicking team. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from outside in. That's how I have it numbered here. And then you got L and R's left and right. So those guys can be 10 yards back and run kickoff from the 35, and then they moved it up, or from the 40, then they moved it back to 35, 10 yards. Then they moved it to where, okay, those 10 guys can only run 5 yards. And then in 2018, I believe it was, they moved it so that really they have to just be standing still. So those guys have to be at the 34-yard line, 35-yard line, within a yard of the 35. Kicker can kick it, but there's no running start. Now, I don't have the return team drawn up. This is a scheme. But the rule in 2018 was that the kickoff return team had to have 8 guys within 25 yards. So that puts 8 guys up close. Those guys can't run, so you're eliminating big collisions, right? That's the point of it.
Yeah.
Now, for a prehistoric guy, man, I love the big collision. Like, give me the boom. Right, I don't want to do it on the mic, but I love that. We would talk about get that woo hit where the crowd goes, woo. Man, I had a little maturity voice there. Woo, right? So kickoff return, they got to get 8 up there. Well, now, what was happening was teams were putting 10 guys up there and just leaving 1 guy back. So where it went from, and here's a number thing for everybody out there. When we were doing onside kicks the last 3 years, 1 out of every 5 onside kick was being recovered, 19%, 20%. I'm sorry, prior to 2018 when people were spread out. Then in 2018, they moved, these guys have to be here, and 8 guys have to move in the box, 25 yards. Okay, then it dropped down to 8%. So now that's 1 out of every 6.5 to 7 onside kicks. Because, like I said, teams just put 10 up there all the time. So there's like no way to even try a fake, to do an onside kick like Pat McAfee. I mean, that dude was freaking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
At randomly doing onside kicks, right? I mean, and those will be ones we'll show later. Like he did the one to start the second half of the or not McAfee, but New Orleans did to start the Super Bowl in the second half. They surprise onside kick. McAfee's done some surprise onside kicks. He recovered. So the new rule is this, though. You can have 8. You have to have 8, but you can't have more than 9. Now, it's not a huge thing, but as a guy who love to do onside kicks, I mean, I bet I opened 1 out of every 3 games. At least 3 games a season, we would open with an onside kick. Or if we were kicking to start the second half, we'd do an onside kick. Big difference between them having 9 guys up close and having 10 guys up close. Because it's like when you see the shift in baseball, right? And you put that extra fielder over to a lefty who's batting 90% of the time to the right-hand side, as Sky High Aviation would know, I haven't watched a lot of although the Astros, I think, play with 15 guys on the right-hand side when they're not cheating. When they're not cheating.
Oh, right. Huh.
A little jab to Sky High Aviation. Love it, man. So having that 9 to 10, again, people right now might be a little bit confused when I do the drawing, be better, but you're going to come to find that there's going to be some games this year, maybe in the NFC West, where that floor to ceiling, that 2 to 3 win difference, man, it could come down to the fact that they couldn't have that 10th guy in the box when we went for onside kicks, right? We go for an onside kick because it used to be where 10 guys could all go to the same side. Now it's become so vanilla where you got to have 5 guys on either side of the kicker. Guys can't run. 10 guys are coming up. Like, okay, you're taking away the fun of it. Like, you're taking away it. So I think that would be the fun stuff for us to talk about and show people. So, Nick, I know on this one I did a lot of the talking, unfortunately, because I don't want to do that because you bring so much to the table. But I know there's going to be some awesome videos. But I do want to ask, I do want to ask as we move forward, what is the one special team that let's say you got drafted and you didn't know this question was coming. I'm going to always have a question for you that you don't know about. Because I know you're a great debater probably too. You'd be the national champion in debate. Which, by the way, people watching, he's like a 5.2 GPA high school student. Pretty dang impressive. In fact, do you know the show Doogie Howser, MD? No. Ask your parents about Doogie Howser, MD. In fact, that might become your new nickname, Doogie. Doogie. I'm not even going to tell you who it is. Research, Doogie Howser, MD. Okay. Anyway, you just got drafted out of high school by the Seattle Seahawks. Schneider calls you up. He says, man, we just drafted you because we have a need and you fill it. That need is somewhere on special teams. In fact, we don't even know it. Dr. Pete Carroll, he doesn't even know where it is. He just knows that we need to fix something, and we think you're the guy to do it as a player. What position, specific position, do you want to play on special teams that is going to make us the difference maker in winning the Super Bowl this year and maybe not even getting out of the NFC West?
Kicker.
And you know me, man. I can't just live with just the one-word answer.
Sure,
give me the why. What's the why? Why the kicker? Why not punt returner, kickoff returner, up back, left tackle on spread punt? You chose the kicker. And you're talking and you can only do field goals or kicking off. So you want to be the field goal kicker? PAT field goal kicker?
Field goal kicker. Because, I mean, you can even look at Thursday night's game between Dallas and Tampa. Greg Zuerlein, their kicker, gave up 7 points off missed field goals. That cost them the game. You can look at 2017, that season. Our kicker, Blair Walsh, lost us about 3 games, which costed us the playoffs. So, kicker. It's got to be kicker.
Man, and I love – see, that's what's fun. I love when you pull out the references like the Blair Walsh and those things. Definitely fun to see a guy, brick it and then show up on our team and things like that. So, PAT kicker, man, I like it. So that tells me that you think you can handle the pressure?
Yep.
Even if you got traded and you're with Jerry Jones and you got to go deal with him, do you think that guy really wanted to get on a flight with Jerry Jones? That's he might be still taking a Greyhound bus trying to figure out how to get back to Texas, man. Right? Yeah, I think you can handle it. I think that'd be a good call for you. All right, man. All right, well, Nick, anything else you want to add before we send people on their way? Or send us on our way.
Not at the moment. I mean, it was great to finally kick off this show. Can't wait for the future ones next week and the weeks coming. Sunday Night Football, Rams-Bears. Got to tune in. It's going to be a great game. Go Bears.
Go Bears, man. It's right. Every one of these games matters. So nice to have ours already in the pocket. Arizona played well and other stuff. So it'll be fun to it. So Nick, man, glad to kick us off with you. I look forward to doing with you each week and oftentimes twice a week. We do some specials and things like that. So we will see people that are watching this. We'll definitely see you midweek at some point this week to go over a little bit more of the Seahawks game and go over their opponents each week. We'll do definitely a review preview. But Sundays will be primarily about kind of overall global stuff and some fun stuff there. So a lot of good stuff. Nick, glad to have you on board. Glad that Tyler and Chef Jack Attack and some of the others that joined us. Eric, glad to see you. Sky High came on, a few others. So really, really appreciate everybody that took the time to see it and watch it. Until we see you again, remember, special teams are definitely special. See you on the next show.